Where is everybody?
I'm here, and that's all that matters. No, I'm just kidding.
That's what I thought too.
Well, it just said it kicked me out, and I just got back in, and it said it was recording. So I thought maybe they were on, but I guess not.
Well, how can they be recording if they haven't started the?
I know, wasn't that weird?
Maybe I should call the office or.
Well, I was thinking about it. Yeah, they maybe it may what happened this morning with the 9:30 might be happening now. It seems like there's a lot of stuff running together.
All right, let me call and find out.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so they're checking on it, but they don't know what's going on.
It's Monday. I actually have Brian doing my marketing for me, and we have been trying to find a couple more subdivisions, and he can circle prospect that and figure out, like both of mine had somebody in there that was the majority. She had the majority of the sales. So it was like, well, I don't want to waste my money there. So, and I think that's kind of what he's talking about today.
Yeah, that's helpful because I was wasting my money in a subdivision that were mined by at least two other Keller Williams agents.
Right. Well, he can tell you, you can start just picking stuff out and he'll tell you within a day, even if you make an appointment, he might can tell you then. Wow. He got back with me within a day and said, you're going to waste your money on these two. So right, I'm working on a couple of more.
Looks like it's coming online.
Okay.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Hello, hello.
Hey, Jan.
Sorry about that. I didn't realize we were on Zoom as well, so.
No problem. I think we lost somebody. Somebody just fell off.
Oh, no.
Might have been me.
No, I think it was Joe.
Well, he's the one who, anyway, hopefully. he'll
I
come
know,
back.
I know.
Not that crazy on the phone. Oh, wow.
I know. How will I be able to see?
I'd say everything that's up there, so.
Perfect.
All right, so we were just getting started and talking a little bit about, maintaining Mindshare. Catch up on just a few slides that we went back through. This whole class comes around the point that 80%, according to NAR, 80% of people that list their home only call one person. And what we want is for that one person to be us or you. And so the way that we engage with people to maintain that mind share is important, and mail is a really wonderful tool for doing that. We're just starting to talk about who we're going to speak to, and there's really breaks down into two different groups of people, and that's met contacts versus non-met contacts, right? So met contacts obviously would be people that are in your database, people that you already know, people that you have perhaps done business with once before. And then non-met contacts are your, farming, if you do farming, or gold competitors, or, open house opportunities, listing marketing, and things like that. 36 Touch and the 201 Club, we want to not only build that database, but communicate to that database. And while email is really wonderful, and it's definitely part of it in 36 Touch campaign, using mail is a really great way to increase the effectiveness of your communications with people. 36 Touch has gone through, and if you've been in this business for any amount of time, you've probably seen 36 Touch go through lots of different changes. They'll say these are the touches, or this is the touch, and different agents have different things. My husband, when he built out the 36 Touch campaign for his mother's team, it was amazing how much it changed her business from going to purchasing online leads. Like at one point she was spending $60,000 a year on online leads to now it's all database and listing marketing where the deals come from. And she does a lot more business now. But what her touch campaign basically consists of is 12 emails, 12 monthly pieces of mail, 1 or 2 birthday cards, whether it's a single or a couple, a home anniversary card, 2 events a year, 4 quarterly phone calls, and then there are other touches surrounding the events. We'll do additional pieces of mail, invitations, things like that. But that's how hers is broken up. And it's how I believe it works very well. So 12 monthly mail pieces. When you're talking to your database, you can have a little bit more fun with mail rather than just a simple postcard that you may send to that's a non-contact, a non-met contact. The MREA says that with a well-touched database, you can use that should be 2 to 12 rule, but for every 12 people in your database, you can expect 2 deals a year. So it's not quite as good as non-met contacts. So I always encourage people to make sure that they are speaking to their database first, and then we can add some other farming and stuff like that. 12 monthly mail pieces sounds like a lot of stuff to keep up with, but here are there's sort of 2 different categories of things. What do we send them and how much does it cost? First and foremost, most of your stuff is going to be a postcard. We send lots of postcards. 6 by 11 is sort of our most popular size, but something like this. Something like this is a great touch. Sticks out in the mail. These are $1.10 for addresses that we put on. Okay, each month we come up with a couple of designs, usually 1 or 2 designs, and we send it out in an email blast, and people are like, "Great, I want to do that." But this just says temperatures and home values are up, and it has one of the stats from Chartmasters about home prices, and on the back it's just a simple message. Home values have risen so much since 2020 that many homeowners are shocked to find out how much equity they have gained. How long has it been since you bought your house? If you're curious to know how much your home would sell for, or how much the house down the street would sold for, give me a call. I'm here to help you make your next move. It's not complicated. What we want is your face in their mailbox every month. And especially since these are people that for your database. We do postcards, and then we mix that up with some other fun mail pieces throughout the year. There's some, people sort of choose which months they might do some of the more expensive mail pieces that you get a lot of touch, that you get a lot of communication out of. In March, we do a lottery ticket mailer, where we do like an A7 card, and then we send a scratch off lottery ticket with it. And most of the more fun ones are a little more expensive, in the $3 range, $3.50. The April, we do like wildflowers, where we'll send them a packet of wildflowers, and a lot of times people will put on their card to share a picture of them growing on your Facebook page and things like that. And people have a lot of fun with it. In the past, we've done stuff like send Kool-Aid packets in August when it's really, really hot. And then at holiday time or Christmas time, Christmas cards, and we've done Christmas ornaments. And we've got, let's see if I've got something. This is one we're doing now, which is for 4th of July, sending out 3D glasses for watching fireworks. And it's got a little card. We're doing it in a fun envelope. But people, when we started doing all of this for home team, for my mother-in-law's team, when James built it, it was funny. She had done email, she did her phone calls, but hadn't really incorporated the mail portion into it. But people started calling and saying, "I loved your mail, it was so funny." And now, a number of years later, they look forward to getting the mail. So usually, since it's for those met contacts, we usually make it funny or goofy or something. And they look forward to it. Unlike just another email that they may get in the morning. They look forward to our mail each month, and they tell us that at the events and things that we do. Another thing, like we were talking about your 36 touch plan having custom greeting cards for like anniversaries, birthdays. We have a number of different designs, and that we usually sell just like as stationery. We can print a message on the inside if you want, or it can just be blank for you to write a little note. And those are 80 cents. That's an envelope. That is an envelope and a card. This is a different card, but same kind of thing. This one just says "Hey neighbor," but these cards are printed. On the inside, we have handwritten once, and then it's printed. But 80 cents if you wanted to get like a stack of those that you can send out your, happy birthdays and things like that. And again, the inside could be blank, or it could have something written down on the inside.
So you have to write one.
You don't have to. Like if you want, like this one. Like this one, she wrote, "Wishing you a day filled with laughter, blah, 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 for the birthday." That's what it says on the inside of the birthday card. And it says the same thing, and she just handwrites the name of the person she's sending it to. So you could do that, or if you wanted to write a personal message in each one, it's not a lot to write, but it doesn't change the cost. You could decide what it is that you want to do. with those kind of things. So non-mailed A2 cards with envelopes, they're 80 cents a piece.
Question, do you have any, birthday cards that can just be postcards that are mailed out and stamped for postcards rather than putting in an envelope?
Sure, I mean, we can certainly do that. Yeah, it would have to be a certain size, but we could easily put together a postcard that's for happy birthday that you could send in the mail. Yeah, all right. Would you would just have you would have us put together a card, print a bunch of them, and then you would address them and mail them out?
Yeah, is that what but that's the same thing that happens on these. You just have to stuff them in an envelope and write them
Yeah.
yourself, right? Or do you?
Yeah. Yes, that would totally be something that could be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We love to customize.
Yeah. We could really use some of the same designs that we have just for the front of the A2 card and put it on the front of a postcard. That would be fine, or if there's something in particular that you want. Speaking to both met and non-met contacts is important. It's good. It's a way to get more business. But, you know, sending mail isn't free. So if you have a certain budget that you're trying to work within, I always recommend to people to start with your database. Speak to them first. They already know you. They hopefully already like you. So they're most likely to be willing to do business with you. And so it's always something to consider if you're trying to decide how much money that you're willing to spend on mail. A lot of people will think, I don't need to, I'm already calling them, they're already, you know, getting my emails, hopefully. But talk to your database, make sure that they are getting the first attention because they are already likely to do business with you. Non-met contacts, this is a really big one. There's so much opportunity here. Of course, speaking to people that you are already know is great, but ways that we can speak to non-met contacts are listing marketing. Listing marketing is a really big one. And then golden letters. Has anybody used golden letters before? I have buyer letters. They're a great way. And then of course, farming, which everyone wants to do. Listing marketing is going to be like your open house invitations, using mail to invite people to the open house. You know, a lot of people think I want to have a lot of people at the open house because I want to find a buyer, but I want you to think about it a little bit. And in addition to that, let's leverage this into another listing. We always try to get people to do open house invitations so that we can get more neighbors there, so that you're able to meet the neighbors and potentially list their home for sale. And then sending out, you know, an under contract and it just sold. It does a couple of things. One, it gives you more packed open house. More packed open house, which creates more urgency around the property. And any buyers that are actually there that are looking at the home are like, oh my gosh, there's so many people interested in this house. We find that it produces better offers. But we can do that with a really skinny little postcard like this, using every door direct if we don't have photography back. So a lot of times you take a listing, you know, on a weekend, you want to go live the following weekend, and you're like, photography is getting done Wednesday, so we don't have pictures to send out. But this is really, really all you have to send out. This we can do, and it just says you're invited to a gorgeous open house. And it's got your logo on it. On the back, it says when the open house is, and it says, please hurry and see this stunning 4-bedroom. But something like this, we can use Every Door Direct. Has anyone ever heard of that before? Every Door Direct is a service through the post office. Pass these around, and then we get to talk about that. So just sold. Open house. So we want to do a postcard. How do we get it in their mailbox? We've got two choices. Every Door Direct is a service through the post office, which allows us to take a postcard or something like that and put it in every single mailbox on a postal route. That means that it doesn't require a stamp, it just has printed on here a little indicia that says, doesn't require a stamp, so we're able to use the entire back and the entire front, aside from this little tiny square right here. And it's the stuff that you get that says local post customer up there. With Every Door Direct, this postcard would cost, if we were to put a stamp on this and send it out with like regular first class mail, like this one that would have an address, it's $1.10. If we're doing Every Door Direct, it's 79 cents for the same postcard, but you don't get to choose who gets it. Okay, so 79 cents, a good price, and then most routes are gonna be between 400 and 800 addresses. So the decision to whether you're gonna pull, we can also just pull addresses. Sometimes people want to have it just go out to that neighborhood, or maybe a certain number of homes around. Let's check a route real quick and see what an Every Door postcard would be. Robin, what's your address?
9145 Circle.
We can, of course, we can do all this for you, but if you are interested in looking it up yourself, it's EDDM, Every Door Direct Mail, eddm.usps.com. And I'm so sorry.
9145 Circle.
45 Eves 30076. If we just type in an address up there at the top, it's going to pull up a map of the area. And if we click on, shows where the house is here in the center, and then if we click on it, it should give us a route. Well, it's also the post office, and sometimes their technology isn't great. There we go, all right. When I tap on the route, it will, I don't know if y'all can see this at all on this screen, that are on Zoom, but it just shows the streets. We'll click on the route, it highlights it, and it tells us on the right-hand side, there are 624 homes on this postal route. And what is in blue is what those 624 homes are. Now, that would mean to send an open house invitation, or just listed, or just sold, or anything, would cost, if it was the big one, it'd be $492 if it is the, like, a large postcard. So that may be more than you were wanting to spend, and the neighborhood may only be 200 homes. In that case, you can pay a little more per piece because we need to put a stamp on it, but we can go in and pull the addresses that are in that neighborhood and send that postcard that way. But non-vet contacts are always a numbers game, right? So more is always better if it's an amount that you are interested and willing to spend. My mother-in-law, she has made the decision that they only do it Every Door Direct, and she does 3 postcards for each listing, and she got 5 listings from that mail last year. And now those people are in the database. Some of those are 2-sided transactions, and now they are in the 36 type program. She made the decision to just do all of them through Every Door Direct, because that way she doesn't have to decide the amount of time where you're going, look, Dana, there's 200 in this neighborhood, and there's another neighborhood that's kind of similar across the street that's 200 houses also. We do both of those. Now it's just pull the route, send the mail, and that has worked. But you always have to take into account what your budget will allow, right? But some routes are 1,200 pieces, and that would be one where she might change her mind and actually have us pull those addresses. But some routes are only 400, 425. I pulled some routes earlier this week. What's another address? Who's got an address we can pull and see how many homes are on their postal route? Anyone? Okay. So sending out listing postcards is a great way to get more people to come and interact with you, especially if you're hosting your own open houses. But we can get that out quickly, and it was actually one of the genesis reasons for this business. James had gone to family reunion. They said, do just listed, just sold, just listed under contract, just sold postcard, and use every door direct. And he found out you can't buy that in the amount of time that he had. So he decided he'd have to learn how to do it himself. And it has been very fruitful. Any questions on that? That makes sense. Golden letters, I have buyer letters. They are, they're very, very good as well. And golden letter is very simple. It essentially just says, my name is Stephanie Brewer. Would you be interested in selling your home? If there's a reason or whatever, especially if you have a buyer and it's if they are looking and it's an actual real thing, golden letters can be very golden. You tend to get some hand raises from it. What we find is that even if the reason they're wonderful, you're trying to find a home for somebody, but when someone calls you, you have the ability to list their home as well, whether or not it's the home that's right for your customer or your client. You need a 4-bed, 3-bath, they call and they've got a 5-5 or something. You can say, that is not going to be a perfect match, but are you interested in selling? Golden letters, if we print addresses on them, they're $1.50. Our handwriting machine is really, really helpful with open rate. And that makes them $2, but it's just in like a number 10 envelope addressed mail. Has anyone used golden letters? Any success with golden letters? No. Okay. What we have been finding recently, we always want to mail it, just like you want your open rate to be high on your email. We want the open rate to be as high as it possibly can with your stamped mail. That's why we bought the handwriting machine. It does a really great job. We call it real written because it's not a hand, but this was written by a machine. And it uses the real pen. And something that is hand addressed that has a real stamp on it, think about your own mail. It's getting opened. They may not read the whole thing, but it's going to get opened because you never know. And what we've had success with recently is doing them with no return address. No return address, hand addressed, and a stamp is definitely getting opened because people are just curious. And so that goes for any of the letters. Speaking of letters, when talking about farming, people often ask, what makes a good farm? What do we want to avoid? What do we want to stay away from? And let's talk about that. They don't call it farming for nothing. It is not, when you're farming, you don't just walk out, drop a seed in the ground and expect it to grow. You have to nurture it. You have to pay attention to it. You got to be consistent with what you do. Mail is a tool that can augment the other actions that make farming more successful. The most successful farms are definitely places where you would be able to feel comfortable with doing maybe an event or helping sponsor some kind of an event. And again, consistency is key. Results definitely vary, but they can be pretty amazing. Some people, that's all they do for lead gen, and they have lots of success. So how do we evaluate a potential farm area? We want to look at a couple things: turnover, agent dominance, how much commission is on the table, and how much the farming is going to cost. Okay, so first, talk about turnover. Everybody can have their opinions, but we say we really want to see about 5% turnover. that's going to be, and we want to look at these numbers and I'll show you how to pull them over a 2-year period. And then if something doesn't look quite right, we can go to 5 years. But we sort of want to see that enough homes are going to be selling in this neighborhood that it will be worth spending money. Agent dominance. So we want to look and see who is selling homes in the neighborhood. If Betty Realtor is selling 60% of the homes in the neighborhood, you probably don't want to send mail there. Susan Lombardo is an agent out of North Atlanta. She does a lot of farming. We send over 2,000 postcards a month for her. And, you know, she has almost 70% dominance in her neighborhood. And it started out, there were 3 agents that had 15% dominance, and then she started farming, and 4 years later, she now sells 7 out of every 10 homes in that neighborhood. And other people, not with us, will send mail or do pop-bys and stuff, and she says it just ends up on her front doorstep. All of her friends, when she's walking through the neighborhood, they'll just, so that they know, because just like we'll remove names of realtors when we're mailing a neighborhood, they do the same thing. So Susan's not getting the mail, but their neighbors are telling them who's sending what. Higher than 20% dominance, and all of this you have to make personal decisions about, and we can help you. If we're doing this with you, we can help you make those decisions. If it's more than 20%, it's going to be a little bit of an uphill climb. They've probably got a fair number of friends in that neighborhood.
A question. I have a question. How do you find out who's dominating in there? Is it just looking at the sales in the last 5 years, or how do you do that?
Yeah, we'll look at the sales in the last 2 years for sure, and the last 5 years, just in the FMLS history. And I can show you how to pull that column up and see. I'll show you how we do it. But yeah, whoever is listing the home, that's as much as we can find out. Potential commission. So this is how we calculate what we think is going to be the value of doing a farm or not. We take the median home price in the neighborhood, and then we multiply that times 0.03 to find out what the commission would be, and then the number of homes that will sell times that commission and the turnover, that commission, and then we cut that in half, because this is Susan Lombardo's this is what she teaches in her farm class, is that we take the commission, we cut it in half, because half of those people are a realtor, know a realtor, are gonna sell to Open Door. So here's what the numbers actually look like on a potential commission for a farm. If we take the median sales price of $450, that's a $13,000 commission. Let's say there's 190 homes in the neighborhood, and there's a 5% turnover. So there'll be 9.5 sales that year. That's $123,500 in commission that someone's getting paid. And we cut that in half. There's $61,750 on the table. Again, cut it in half because they either are a realtor, no realtor, are going to sell to Redfin, Open Door, any of that other stuff. And the cost to farm it for the year would be $2,774 if we were to do the full shebang. What is the full shebang, you might ask? We encourage people to start farming. Yes, we can just start sending a postcard to any neighborhood for $1.10 a month. But what we have found is that rather than you just randomly showing up in their mailbox with the first piece of mail being a postcard, we have found that doing sort of an introductory letter, that like this A2 card that we've got here, this allows you to introduce yourself to these people that you're going to be hitting with mail for the rest of their life, as long as it is lucrative. And it can say anything from, hey, you know, I'm your local neighborhood realtor. If you live in the neighborhood, you can make it more informal and talk about, you know, any kind of different thing. We've got lots of these, and we help people write the insides. But this sent in an envelope, hand addressed, with a stamp on it, is $2.50. But we have found that people, once they get the card, they read your card, they see your picture on the back, The open rate, especially hand addressed, is very, very good. It's not only hand addressed with a real stamp on it, but it's a very unique mail size. And so we feel that the open rate is very good. And then after we send this kind of card, we switch to postcards for farming, which is $1.10. So $2.50, $475 to do that neighborhood of 190 homes. And then for the rest of the year, it's $209 a month. And the possibility of, one commission is $13,000. We recommend best practice is to dedicate to doing a farm for 12 months. Giving it at least 6 is sort of a must. Results vary widely. We've done farms for my mother-in-law where she went the entire year doing all the things and didn't get a deal. And then you start in a different neighborhood and you get one the first month. But a lot of times, most of the time, it does take the repetition, and then also for them to get it on the day that they're thinking of selling their home. But we really encourage you not to just drop it once and then run with it, but to make sure it's consistent. I sent an A2 card to one customer in town. She has gotten 6 deals from that piece of mail. And now she's listing postcards for everything, and has done 6 or 7 deals in her neighborhood since we started that in March or February. So as I said, individual results will vary, but it can work out really, really well. So that's a little bit about what it costs to farm. Let's take a look at sort of how we would get the information. The first thing we would do is log into the FMLS. We're going to want to know how many homes there are, and then how many have sold, so that we can understand what the turnover is. So if we just go into Matrix and we do a residential search. If you know the area, you can just, if you know the neighborhood well, you can just go in and do a map search. If you don't know the neighborhood, I always tell people, if you want us to do this for you, just send, if you can send me one address that's in the neighborhood, that's helpful. I can pull it up more quickly that way. But that way you can pull up one address and find it. I'm just going to use the neighborhood that I used to live in. It's called Grand Forest. It's in Cumming. What I like to do is get it pulled up on the map, and then we're going to use the polygon tool to select the area. I'm sure everybody's familiar with how to do this part of it. The reason that we do this rather than just typing in the name of the subdivision, if you're like, I want to farm Grand Forest and I want to see how many houses are sold, I'm sure that you have found that what goes into FMLS listings isn't always accurate, and some person may have spelled Grand Forest and one person may have spelled, or abbreviated something. So I've got my map selection here, and I'll go back to criteria, and I'm gonna include active, and then I'm gonna include closed, and I'm gonna do that for 730 days. That'll give me 2 years. So it looks like there's 26 houses in that neighborhood. 26 sales. We look at the results here. And yeah, here's a perfect example. And actually, some of these are mislabeled because Ivy Walk is the neighborhood next door. But I'm almost positive I did not include Ivy Walk, but people will put it in the wrong area. So I want to know who's selling homes in this area. So I can click at the top, across the top where it says like address. If I click here, it'll give me a little pop-up where I can choose to insert a column. And I want to choose listing agent full name. And if I click apply, that's going to give me the listing agent, and I can click to sort by that name. And I look through here, and Amy Bozeman is the first person. She's got 2. So 2 out of 26, not worried about that. Kim Clare has 2. Mark Spain has 2. Gary Ehrlich. But we're just looking to make sure that there's not somebody that has 7 or 10 out of 26. But before we get too far, we need to know the turnover of the neighborhood. So we know that there's not a dominant agent, so it would be a good place to farm. But if there's 26 sales, how many homes are there? If we go into realist, that's how we can do the name, that's how we get the numbers. We'll use the polygon tool in the same way in realist to select the neighborhood. This is also where we pull the addresses. Again, if you're gonna have us help you with this, then we'll do all of this for you. But if you are just wanting to sit at home and play around and see where you might have good results, this is how you would do it. Polygon. I realized I did actually get some people. So it looks like there's 189 homes. I did get some of the wrong neighborhoods, so let me adjust my polygon over here, so we're not doing bad math. Okay, so that took us down to 16 sales. All right, 19. Sorry. So 19 homes out of 189 in 2 years. Is 10, right over 10%, but we need to divide that by 2. So we've got our 5% turnover. We don't have a dominant agent, so seems like it would be a good place. Also, you want to look at the average price point. Average price point here is going to be between. I'm sorry, I just noticed that the house that my husband and I just sold 2 months ago is active under contract again for $50,000 more. Wow. Yeah, so any questions about that part of the process? No, all that makes sense, pretty simple. Okay. All right. The math on non-met contacts. We talked about how it's 2 to 12. 2 deals for every 12 people in your Met database. It's 1 to 50 to speaking to non-Met. Now, I always just remind people of that. Doing both is what the MREA says to do, and both yield very good results. But if you're coming down to trying to determine where to spend your money first, let's make sure we're talking to the people that know and like you the most, or that already know and already like. I always just throw this little slide in there just to remind people print is definitely not dead. This is the top 20 from North Atlanta. Everybody for this month, everybody in red uses us for their mail and uses mail. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Half of them use us for mail. And then everybody in blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That 5, they either don't do mail or they use us for all their other print or, but print is still very much alive. Any questions? Anyone?
So you guys, well, two things. For the just so, do we just send you like the pictures and then you guys put everything together?
Yeah.
Cause I wanna do that, for just like my team, everything we sell that goes to the database. And then also for my door knocking class, I wanted to know, did you guys print door hangers? Like the ones, I wish I had an example, but it's kind of like this and then just has the punch hole.
Yes, we do that.
Okay, and what's the turnaround on that usually?
Same day.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, I'll send you a copy of the ones I had. I just ordered some, but I know a bunch of people wanted to get them. And the place we were getting them from probably takes like 2 weeks, so,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, no, we do door hangers all day long. So we can put together something if you've got something you like,
Okay,
or we can show you, we have lots of different ones. And,
okay,
you know, I can usually just do it the same day. I mean,
okay,
pretty much everything we do, we try to do same day.
okay, perfect.
As far as just sold, anything that we're gonna do for you, just send us the pictures. If it's a just sold postcard, you can send us the picture and we'll put it all together and then we'll get it out. Whether, I just need to know whether we're gonna every door direct it or whether we're going to send it first class.
Okay,
You know, jumping back to the postcards and the just listed, just sold and all those things, one of the really big things, people will come to us and say they want to farm an area or they want to do something in an area. One of the questions I always ask is, you know, what business do you have being there? You know, why do you think that these people care that you're a realtor? You know, maybe it's your home, your neighborhood, or maybe it's something else, or maybe you just want to sell homes in that neighborhood because they're $1 million a piece.
right,
All good reasons, we just need to craft your message. If you have had a listing in a neighborhood and have done listing marketing with postcards, it's a really great way to sort of parlay that into a farm. Because once they've seen your sign in the yard, they got an invite to the open house, hopefully they came and met you. Then they saw a under contract postcard that came like days later, and your postcard says like, we just went under contract, we're over asking, multiple offers, da 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 da. If you need help navigating this market, you know, give me a call, blah, blah, blah. We've got lots of verbiage. And then they just had a nice smooth close that they've seen all of those different things, and then that gives them, you know, they've seen your face 3 times in their mailbox, they've seen the sign in the yard, and now you start hitting them with farming postcards. In that way, you can probably skip the A2 card unless you just wanted to do it. It's a good piece of it. Any other questions?
I have one. Can we
Yes, ma'am.
circle back to, I didn't want to jump in at the time. You were talking about the golden letters and you asked if anyone had, had success with them. I know from listening to different things across the country, a lot of agents, and you see it on Facebook from the KW offices across the country, there's a lot of agents that talk highly of that. What's your thoughts on that? And can y'all do that golden letter? I think I may have asked you this before.
Yeah, we do lots of golden letters, and they are very effective. And they can say they are most effective when they are real. But plenty of people send out a whole lot of them that just say, would you be interested in listing your home? And that's basically, it's like a 1 sentence piece of mail. And people have success with that as well, but if you legitimately have a buyer and let's say they want to be in a specific area, that is a really great opportunity to send out those golden letters. And like I said, hand addressed, no return address, and with a real stamp on it, it's getting opened. You know, think about getting your own mail.
Well,
Just the even out of curiosity.
I was thinking about there's a golden letter that's out there that's already been created that people use. Now, I guess you can, jazz it up, take stuff out and put your own words in or whatever. But I say, why reinvent the wheel if it works?
Yeah, and if you want to send a golden letter, I can show you a lot of samples of different ones that we've done for people. But yes, just the typical golden letter that just has, would you sell us your home? It's literally only like 2 sentences. Yes, that works. But when you're able to add a little bit more information like for a family that's moving here from something and blah, blah, blah. Sometimes that is also helpful and effective. But yeah, Jen. You tell me
Okay.
where you want it to go, we'll get it out.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? Were there any questions about anything I didn't talk about? Was there anything that I didn't mention that someone thought might be in the class or anything I glossed over? No? Okay. Well, we're here to be leverage for you. If there's anything that we can help you do, from brochures to listing marketing to mailing your database, we are here to be a resource and help you with that. Please feel free to reach out to me. My number is 404-408-1036. We try to make it very easy to work with us. If you need something, you can just text me and say what you need, and I can start putting it together, or send me an email at brian@divenevers.com. And we'd be happy to help. So thanks so much for coming. Hopefully it was valuable. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Jan.
Just,
You have your business card?
let's see.